Welcome to Raising Minds, a podcast that discusses current topics of interest to parents and educators today, empowering parents and educators for success.
In each weekly episode, we will be talking about trends in the world of education, learning tools and strategies for optimal human growth, and supporting educators and parents like you.
In each episode, we'll discuss a different topic and focus on helping our kids and ourselves to become more resilient, have the resources we need to be successful, and be the person that we always want to be.
Hi, I'm Kristen Anker. I've been working as a Montessori educator, school administrator, parent coach, and school consultant for over 25 years. I'm a mom of 3, and I'm passionate about empowering parents and teachers with growth mindset tools and helping school leaders create connected school communities.
And I'm Dr. Susan Guiney, a retired school superintendent, educator, leadership coach, and consultant, and a single mom of 3 amazing adults. I'm passionate about learning, leadership, and helping each person lead their own best life.
Hello and welcome back to Raising Minds. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about negative self-talk and self-criticism.
Ugh, that is the worst. You know, Kristen, you hear all the time, the most important person that you listen to is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And when you speak to yourself in a negative way and you're self-critical, you really are just putting yourself in a terrible position, not a position of being successful.
No, and we all know how important our thoughts are, and if we can, even looking at, I always look at the cognitive behavioral therapy cycle.
Yeah.
And I think of those 5 primary drivers of our beliefs will dictate our thoughts, and our thoughts will give us these feelings that we're having in our side. And the feelings will tell us, are you feeling good? Or are you feeling bad? Are you in the primal state, or are you in the powerful state of being, the parasympathetic nervous system or the sympathetic nervous system? And then those feelings will help us to do something, create an action. Sometimes it's procrastination, it's the inaction. And then those results will make us, the actions will give us those results. And sometimes we're kind of stuck in this psycho-cybernetic loop because of a negative thought and a negative belief.
That's right. That's really what happens. And we really don't control as much as we like to believe that we do. And the one thing that we really have control over are those thoughts. So even if we tell ourselves a good lie, if we don't believe that we are the best thing ever, but we tell ourselves that, our brain starts to believe it, and we start to reposition ourselves because we don't want to get stuck in that negative loop.
And I think someone said to me once, don't always believe what you think. Don't always believe what you're thinking, and your thoughts aren't you. It's just a thought.
Right.
What if it was just a thought?
And
sometimes people aren't even aware that they're having those thoughts. We're constantly having these thoughts. I know that's a number, 60,000 thoughts throughout a day. But I think it's 90% of them are negative. There's a lot of negative.
And they're repetitive.
And repetitive.
The same thing. It's like we're playing the tape over and over again. And we often go back and we try to rewrite the past. If I would have, could have, should have, this would be different. That would be this way. And sticking in that kind of loop is not helpful to any of us, for sure.
Yeah. And I always say that first step is the self-awareness. Self-awareness of, I am in a loop. I am, what is, and just being aware of what is that thought. I know a good tool, and I'm telling myself this because I'm going to practice it this year, is actually journaling. So when you are kind of stuck in this spiral and you're like, I can't get out, just journaling down, writing down what are the thoughts? What are the thoughts that you're thinking? And even if they are negative, just write them down and you see it. And you just have that awareness. And then think, okay, if this thought is not making me feel good, that means it's probably not true. And I think it is. It's a lot of,
Yes.
It's unintelligent thinking.
Right.
And being aware that, okay, if that's not true, what can be true? What's going to help me? What's a better thought that's going to actually help me to do the thing, help me to get it all done, help me to,
Right.
So what would be a better thought?
Yeah, yeah. I really like the idea of journaling. It kind of reminds me of Harry Potter when he tilted his head and he had all the thoughts come out onto the paper. It's that same kind of a thing. Get all those thoughts out onto the paper and out of your mind so that you clear the space for some different kinds of thinking to take place and being in the present.
Right. And I remember we talked about overwhelm in a previous episode. And one of the ideas is to have that brain dump and to write down all the things that you're thinking of or all the things that you have to do. But then you look at that list and you go, okay, what's actually in my control? What's actually in my control? Because a lot of these thoughts that we're thinking, it's not even in our control. So why are we worrying about it?
That's right. You can't update the past. You cannot do anything. You can't predict the future. We only have the present.
Yes.
So to stay in the present as much as we can and think about how that impacts us. And I guess another important question is, how does it impact our children? Right? If they see us with negative thoughts, very judgmental or self-critical thoughts, that plays over to them as well. And we want to be sure to teach them not to do that, to think differently. Right?
Oh, definitely. I remember I had a coaching client and we talked about this because it was something that she was working on. And I just asked her that one question. I was like, what if your son thought this? What would you say to him if he had that thought? And she was like, well, of course it's, he can do anything. He could do it. So we have to sometimes make sure that we're also our best cheerleader. We have our own back.
That's right. That's really true. I think that's a really great point. When we look at our children, how do we think about their thinking and what would we want for them? And we would not want them thinking negative, having negative self-talk or being self-critical.
Right. That inner critic.
The inner critic.
The inner critic. And how do we quiet that inner critic?
Well, there are a lot of different ways to do it. We go back to talking about meditation again, of course, starting out the day in a way that centers ourselves and grounds ourselves so that we are approaching the day from the best, most positive place possible, right?
And a gratitude practice, I think, too. And I was just working on this with a few ladies, and we were talking about gratitude and the importance of it, but also that we need to use appreciations. So we were talking about some people use affirmations, and I think because affirmations are sometimes you're telling yourself something that you don't really believe. Again, you're going to be critical of that. But appreciations, how much are you actually appreciating what you do every day? So I challenged these ladies to write down 5 things that you appreciate about yourself every day and to journal that for 1 week. And when you can appreciate more, whatever you focus on grows. So if you focus on appreciations, you see all the things that you're doing. So it's not that negative bias. Oh, you only think about the one thing that you did wrong or the meeting that you missed that day or, the thing that you messed up and you don't think about all the things you did right. So I think being aware of, we're going to have that negative bias, but if we can focus on, and what do we really appreciate about what we are doing?
It shifts the perspective, doesn't it? And someone really moves into that space of appreciation. And as soon as you go into that space of appreciation and expressing gratitude, it almost completely wipes out any of the negative self-talk. The negative self-talk just immediately just turns off when you start appreciating and making gratitude lists. I've often done that even with young adults, asking them, what are you really grateful for? What are the things in your life, starting with yourself, but then think of all of the people you've come in contact with. Think of even the smallest things. You had an opportunity to have a terrific cup of coffee when you woke up this morning, or your mom packed you a great lunch, or you had a great lunch. So, little things that could often mean a lot, but they certainly quiet that negative self-talk.
Definitely. And what you appreciate grows.
It sure does. It sure does.
And gratitude is a superpower. I use it as a little game because I know how it works now. And I know that, okay, I'm going to possibly have that inner critic and I'm going to spiral in some negative self-talk. But when I can stop myself, I can be aware, and then I can say, okay, I need to, flip that switch, reframe that story, and just be aware that it's happening and that I am in control and I can control my thoughts.
Yeah. It impacts our brains on a physical level as well. I don't know if you're familiar with the work of Dr. Amen and the Amen Clinic, but he talks a lot about automatic negative thoughts. He uses the acronym ANTS, and he talks about when we focus on negativity so much, it actually changes our brain's physiology in not a good way.
Right.
And that really taking control of those negative thoughts is so important for good brain health. Keep our brains healthy.
Definitely. And like you said before, too, like we are the role models for our children, for our students, and we need to teach our kids to do the same. Because if they're going to see us berating ourselves and judging and having all this self-criticism, they're going to do it. And they notice everything.
They do. They
really do. So doing those, finding appreciations or even affirmations for your kids, too. I've done that with some young clients, and it feels so good to see them sitting in front of a mirror and saying really good things about themselves, and they come up with what they're going to say too.
That's right.
And it's you raise your shoulders a little bit, you stand up tall, and you feel good. So it's all about feeling good. People do better when they feel better.
Absolutely. And that's what we want for our children, and that's what we want for ourselves as well.
Okay, so if we could flip that negative self-talk to positive self-talk, we'll probably have to have a whole nother episode about that, about positive self-talk.
Put that on the list.
Yeah, quieting that inner critic, naming that inner critic. I know that's a tool too, but we'll get to that on another episode. But again, always fun talking to you, Dr. Sue.
Same here, Kristen.
Okay, see you next time.
See you next time. Thank you for listening to Raising Minds podcast.
As parents and educators, we know that we are not just raising children, we are raising minds.
As our children are learning, so are we.